What's up, guys? Today I just want to share some thoughts real quick about Philippians chapter 2, 1 through 11. It's an example where Paul lays out the humility of Christ and basically shows how Christ was humble, mostly in becoming human and then dying for us, and that death being not his own will, but the will of the Father, and submitting to that. Because Christ shares the same divinity as God does, and he still does, even in human form, and he dies the death of a sinner. So in this, he's taking his supreme exaltedness above the holy of holies, the highest of the highest, and he becomes the lowest of the low. And that is the nature itself of humility. Like, we can't be more humble than that. You can't go from anything higher to anything lower than a criminal dying on a cross. Humility is a thing that you've got to work on. There's a couple different aspects to it. One of them being that humility is like a muscle, in that at first it's really hard. It's difficult to be humble when you think of yourself as the provider of your things. And looking at it from a secular viewpoint, I would say I can do these things on my own. As you accept Christ and you start to be transformed by him, the idea that you need him for everything is a hard idea to start ingraining into your mind and working out all the time. If I have an issue in life, it's easy for me to think of a solution and try and do that solution, try and fix that thing. I think I might know the best way to do it, and I think I might know the right things to do, but in all things, I seek him. I seek his wisdom. I seek his understanding and the best way that he would have me do things. Because sometimes the way that he would have you do things is not the way that you would typically do them. And it takes humility to get to the point where you recognize that his ways are beyond ours. A person who is humble is teachable. There's things that you can learn from others. If you're teachable, then you're humble because other people can lead you and guide you. That means that you have to recognize the wisdom and the understanding of others. Verse 3 says, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves." And if you're teachable, you keep that idea of humility, then you have to recognize that value in others. Someone younger than you, someone older than you, someone from a completely different background. They can teach you things. And being able to recognize that in other people helps keep you humble. And humble is, like I said, something you have to work out. You start to work that muscle out, it becomes stronger. Over time, you're able to not necessarily be more humble, but be humble more often. It becomes easier to seek God in the little things rather than just the big things. What does he want me to do in the small things? Because he has plans for you. And if you just constantly decide your own thing, your own way to do all of them, then you may be ignoring what he has for you. And that humility of doing his will above yours is exactly what Christ embodied when he was here with us. And I think it's super neat how Christ constantly doing things and asking God like where he wants him to go and doing things that seemed very against the grain. Humility is definitely a thing that people struggle with. It's hard because it's very self-reflective. And recognizing the fault in yourself and recognizing the worth in others are both things that, while they go hand in hand, they are also very difficult to do. And recognizing the worth in some people is harder than others. There's people that you work closely with. I know family sometimes is some of the hardest, to just constantly remind yourself of really who you are and where your place is in the world, where your place is with God, and remember that he loves them just as much. If you humble yourself before God, then he does lift you up. When he deems you worthy, you are worthy. But you can't walk around like you are more worthy than anybody else. That defeats the purpose. Those are just my simple, quick thoughts on the matter. Other than that, I'll see you guys on Sunday.